Give an overview of the current understanding of how hunter-gatherers lived in the year 10,000 BC and before. Give a detailed description of what we know of each area of life, including economy, food sources, language, tools, astronomy and astrology, hunting and gathering, communities, religion, philosophy, art, science, transportation, survival, and any other categories like that you can think of. Be detailed and try to paint a vivid picture of life in that time. Below is a synthesis of the current scholarly understanding of hunter-gatherer life around and before 10,000 BC, drawing from archaeology, paleoanthropology, ethnography, recent hunter-gatherers as analogs, genetics, climatology, and cognitive science. I'll move category by category, but also try to weave them into a living world, not just a checklist. This period spans the late Upper Paleolithic into the Epipaleolithic, just before agriculture becomes dominant in a few regions. Humans were already fully modern in cognition, emotion, language capacity, and creativity. Number 1. The world they lived in. Environmental context. Around 10,000 BC, the Earth was emerging from the last ice age. Massive glaciers still covered parts of North America and Northern Europe. Sea levels were 120 meters lower than today. Land bridges existed, e.g., Beringia, connecting Siberia and the Americas. Megafauna still existed in some regions, mammoths, giant sloths, woolly rhinos, but many were disappearing. Climate was unstable. Sudden cold snaps, e.g., the Younger Dryas, shifting rainfall patterns, rapid ecological change. Hunter-gatherers were experts at living in uncertainty. Number 2. Economy, how life was sustained. Hunter-gatherer economies were non-monetary, non-market, and non-accumulative. Core features: immediate return economy. Resources were consumed shortly after acquisition. Little long-term storage, though some groups did store seasonally. Wealth was measured in social relationships, knowledge, reputation, skill. Exchange. Gift economies were common. Objects moved via reciprocal gifting, marriage alliances, ritual exchange networks. Long-distance trade existed. Obsidian traveled hundreds of kilometers. Shells moved inland. Ochre circulated widely. There was no concept of profit, but a strong sense of obligation, generosity, and balance. Number 3. Food sources and diet. Hunter-gatherers ate astonishingly varied diets, often more nutritionally diverse than modern diets. Hunting, large game where available, deer, bison, horse, reindeer, mammoth. Small game, rabbits, birds, turtles. Fishing, rivers, lakes, coasts, nets, hooks, weirs. Gathering, often 60 to 80% of calories. Wild grains, before domestication. Tubers, roots, bulbs. Nuts, acorns, almonds. Fruits and berries. Honey, seaweed and shellfish in coastal areas. Women often provided the majority of calories, though roles were flexible. Food knowledge, deep botanical knowledge, toxic versus edible plants, seasonal availability, medicinal uses, cooking techniques, roasting, stone boiling, pit ovens, fermentation likely. Food was deeply social, shared, celebrated, ritualized. Number 4, tools and technology. Stone Age does not mean primitive. Tools, finely made stone blades, often sharper than modern steel. Bone and antler tools, needles, harpoons, fishhooks, composite tools, stones, wood, sinews, resin. Weapons, spears, thrown and thrust. Atlatls, spear throwers. Bows, appearing earlier than once thought. Traps and snares. Clothing, sewn garments, fitted clothing using needles, fur, leather, woven plant fibers. Likely decorated with beads, teeth, shells. Technological skill was learned socially through apprenticeship and storytelling. Number 5, language and communication. By 10,000 BC, fully complex spoken language absolutely existed. Characteristics, grammar, metaphor, humor, poetry, storytelling traditions. Languages likely had rich vocabularies for animals, plants, weather, terrain, encoded ecological knowledge, included song and chant as functional memory tools. Writing did not exist, but oral tradition was highly sophisticated. Number 6, communities and social organization. Group size, typical bands, 20 to 50 people. Fluid membership, seasonal aggregation into larger groups, 100 to 300 plus. Social structure, generally egalitarian. Leaders existed but had limited coercive power. Authority based on wisdom, skill, charisma, ritual knowledge. Conflict resolution, gossip, humor, temporary separation. Group pressure, violence was rare but not unknown. Children were raised collectively with constant exposure to adults. Number 7. Gender and family life. Gender roles existed but were far more flexible than in later agricultural societies. Women hunted in some groups. Men gathered and cared for children. Childcare was communal. Grandparents played vital roles. Life expectancy was lower on average, but many lived into their 50s to 60s. Number 8. Religion, spirituality, and cosmology. Hunter-gatherer spirituality was animistic. Core beliefs. Animals, plants, rivers, stones had spirits. Humans were part of nature, not rulers over it. The world was alive and responsive. Ritual specialists, shamans, healers, entered trance states via drumming, dancing, fasting, psychoactive plants in some regions. Ancestors, dead remained present. Burial rituals were symbolic and emotional. Grave goods suggest belief in an afterlife. Religion was experiential, not dogmatic. Number 9. Astronomy and timekeeping. Hunter-gatherers were keen observers of the sky. Knowledge. Lunar cycles tracked precisely. Seasonal star patterns used for migration, hunting seasons, ritual calendars. Some sites, e.g. Göbekli Tepe, later but relevant, show monumental alignment with celestial events, symbolic star mapping. Astronomy blended seamlessly into mythology and ritual. Number 10. Art and aesthetics. This period produced some of the most powerful art in human history. Visual art. Cave paintings, Lascaux, Chauvet, Altamira. Engravings, portable art, figurines, decorated tools. Themes, animals, dominant. Human figures, rare but symbolic. Abstract symbols, dots, spirals, handprints. Music and dance, flutes made of bone, percussion, ritual dance. Art was not decoration. It was knowledge, magic, memory, and identity. 11. Science and knowledge systems. Hunter-gatherers practiced empirical science, though not formalized. Knowledge domains, animal behavior, weather patterns, plant chemistry, human anatomy, trauma, healing, navigation, and geography. Knowledge was tested by survival. False ideas killed people. Number 12. Transportation and mobility. Walking was primary. Dugout canoes and rafts existed. Snowshoes, sleds in cold regions. Pack animals not yet used. Mobility was strategic. Seasonal movement. Landscape memorized in detail. Mental maps passed orally. Number 13. Survival and daily life. Daily life involved food acquisition, tool repair, childcare, storytelling, play, ritual. Work hours were often 4 to 6 hours per day, leaving time for social life. Stress existed, but chronic alienation was rare. Number 14. Philosophy and worldview. Though not written, hunter-gatherers held coherent philosophies. The world is relational. Balance matters more than growth. Knowledge comes from experience. The group survives together or not at all. Death was accepted, not denied. Nature was respected, not conquered. Number 15. What this all adds up to by 10,000 BC, hunter-gatherers were cognitively modern, technologically skilled, socially complex, spiritually rich, artistically expressive, deeply knowledgeable about their environment. They were not proto-humans waiting for civilization. They were a different civilization, optimized for a world without agriculture, industry, or states. If you want, next we can. Compare this life directly to early agricultural societies. Explore how much knowledge was lost with farming. Model what a fully mature hunter-gatherer civilization could look like without transitioning to agriculture. Or zoom in on a specific region, Europe, Levant, Americas, Africa, Siberia. Compare this life directly to early agricultural societies. Then explore how much knowledge was lost with farming. And then finally, model what a fully mature hunter-gatherer civilization could look like without transitioning to agriculture. Below is a 3-part deep comparison and synthesis, moving from evidence-based anthropology into careful modeling. I'll keep the transitions clear. 1. Direct comparison. Hunter-gatherers versus early agricultural societies. 2. What knowledge was lost and what was gained with farming. 3. A model of a fully mature, non-agricultural hunter-gatherer civilization. Throughout, I'll stay grounded in what we actually know, while clearly marking where we move into informed extrapolation. Part 1. Direct comparison. Hunter-gatherers versus early agricultural societies. 1. Health and biology. Hunter-gatherers, taller on average, stronger bones, fewer fractures, excellent dental health, low cavities, low rates of infectious disease, varied diet, micronutrient rich, death often from trauma or accidents, not chronic illness. Early agriculturalists, shorter stature, higher childhood mortality, Dental decay skyrockets, nutritional deficiencies, iron protein, epidemics emerge, crowding animals, chronic stress visible in bones. Conclusion, agriculture reduced individual biological health for thousands of years. 2. Workload and time use, hunter-gatherers, 4 to 6 hours day subsistence work, seasonal rhythm, long periods of rest, ritual, storytelling, agriculturalists, 8 to 12 plus hours day labor, year-round toil, hard deadlines, planting, harvesting, famine risk tied to crop failure. Conclusion, farming created more food per land unit, but at far greater human cost. 3. Social structure and equality. Hunter-gatherers, egalitarian, status equals reputation, not coercion. Leaders could be ignored, sharing enforced socially. Agricultural societies, hierarchies form quickly. Property, inheritance, class. Elites emerge. Coercive power becomes normalized. Conclusion, agriculture made large-scale hierarchy possible, not inevitable, but common. 4. Violence and warfare. Hunter-gatherers, interpersonal violence exists. Organized warfare rare. Conflicts resolved by fission, group split. Agriculturalists, territorial warfare common. Fortifications appear. Standing warriors, slavery and mass killing emerge. Conclusion, agriculture enables war as an institution. 5. Knowledge systems. Hunter-gatherers, deep ecological literacy, flexible, adaptive knowledge, learned through participation. Agriculturalists, specialized knowledge, loss of broad ecological awareness, reliance on fewer species. Conclusion, agriculture narrows knowledge while intensifying specialization. 6. Spirituality and worldview. Hunter-gatherers, animistic, experiential spirituality, humans embedded in nature. Agriculturalists, anthropocentric religions, gods of control, fertility hierarchy, priesthoods emerge. Conclusion, farming shifts spirituality from relationship to domination. Part 2, what knowledge was lost with farming? This is not speculation. We can infer loss from archaeology, ethnography, and irreversible transitions. 1. Ecological literacy, major loss. Hunter-gatherers knew hundreds of plant species intimately, understood animal migration, mating, disease, read weather from subtle cues, managed landscapes through fire, pruning, selective harvest. With farming, focus narrowed to a few domesticated species. Wild ecosystems became background. Landscape management replaced with land ownership. Loss. Most humans lost the ability to survive independently in nature. 2. Holistic medical knowledge. Hunter-gatherers, extensive herbal pharmacology, bone setting, wound care, psychological healing via ritual. Early farmers retained some remedies, lost mobility-based healing, increased disease load, overwhelmed traditional methods. Loss. Localized medicinal knowledge vanished region by region. 3. Oral memory and cognitive skill. Hunter-gatherers, encyclopedic oral traditions, songlines, myth maps, genealogies, memory as survival skill. With farming, writing externalized memory, oral mastery declined, knowledge became stored, not lived. Loss. Human memory capacity atrophied culturally, not biologically. 4. Social knowledge. Hunter-gatherers, conflict resolution without coercion, consensus governance, emotional regulation through ritual and humor. Agricultural societies, law replaces relationship, punishment replaces reconciliation. Loss. Subtle, high-skill social governance techniques. 5. Philosophical orientation. Hunter-gatherers, sufficiency over growth, cyclical time, balance over accumulation. Farming introduced, linear time, surplus anxiety, growth logic. Loss, a worldview where enough was a valid endpoint. Part 3. A fully mature hunter-gatherer civilization. No agriculture, no domestication of staple crops. This is a modeled civilization, extrapolated from known HG capabilities. 1. Population and territory. Population density, moderate, sustainable. Large, interconnected cultural regions, seasonal aggregation centers, proto-cities without permanent farming. Migration corridors managed collectively. No fixed fields, but managed landscapes. 2. Economy. Gift-based interregional exchange, high specialization without hierarchy. Toolmakers, healers, astronomers, storykeepers. Wealth equals knowledge plus relationships. No money but complex reputation economies. 3. Technology. Advanced but non-industrial. Ultra-efficient tools made from stone, bone, wood, resin. Sophisticated textiles. Passive architecture, seasonal dwellings, climate-adaptive shelters, fire management as a planetary scale tool. No smelting, no factories, but high optimization. Number 4, science and knowledge institutions, knowledge lodges, ritualized teaching cycles, seasonal symposia, astronomical observatories, oral peer review via story competition. Science without abstraction, fully embodied. 5, astronomy and timekeeping, star calendars synchronized across regions, myth-encoded astronomical data, lunar-solar reconciliation systems, navigation using sky plus land memory, precision without writing. 6, councils of elders, specialists, and rotating leaders, no permanent rulers, fission as safety valve, cultural taboos against accumulation of power, governance via norms, not force. Number 7, religion and philosophy, pan-animistic cosmology, ethical systems focused on balance, rights of renewal tied to ecology, death integrated, not hidden. Religion equals environmental feedback loop. 8, art and culture, monumental ritual sites, non-agricultural, seasonal pilgrimages, art as memory storage, dance, chant, and visual symbols as archives. Culture as living infrastructure. 9, military and defense, no standing armies, universal combat training, stealth, mobility, avoidance, conflict framed as last resort, war without conquest. 10, psychological life, strong identity through belonging, low alienation, grief shared communally, mental health embedded in daily life. High resilience, low existential anxiety. Final synthesis. Agriculture won historically, not because it was better for humans, but because it scaled power, surplus, and control. A mature hunter-gatherer civilization would be healthier, more stable ecologically, less violent structurally, more psychologically integrated, less technologically explosive. It would not build rockets, but it might never need to. If you want, next we can. Ask whether civilization had to go agricultural. Explore hybrid pathways, semi-sedentary HG civilizations. Compare this model to modern technological futures. Or ask the uncomfortable question, was farming a mistake or a necessary one? Go ahead and ask whether civilization had to go agricultural. Then explore hybrid pathways, semi-sedentary HG civilizations. Compare this model to modern technological futures. And finally ask the uncomfortable question, was farming a mistake or a necessary one? What you're asking now is the deep hinge point of human history. I'll move carefully and explicitly through the 4 parts because each one reframes the next. Part 1. Did civilization have to go agricultural? Short answer, no. Civilization did not have to go agricultural, but agriculture created feedback loops that made it difficult to avoid once certain thresholds were crossed. Long answer, civilization is often defined by large populations, social complexity, specialized labor, long-distance coordination, monumental construction, shared symbolic systems. None of these require agriculture in principle. What agriculture uniquely provides is 1. High caloric density per unit of land, 2. Storable surplus, 3. Predictable taxation extraction, 4. Population anchoring. These enable states, not civilization itself. Why agriculture emerged anyway? Agriculture appears independently in multiple regions because of converging pressures, not inevitability. 1. Post-Ice Age climate instability, familiar food webs disrupted, some megafauna extinct, wild resources less predictable. 2. Localized population pressure. Successful HG regions became crowded, overuse of prime ecosystems. 3. Accidental domestication. Humans favored certain plants. Plants adapted to humans. Co-evolution took hold. 4. Cultural lock-in. Children born into farming societies. Leaving meant losing stored food, land rights. Farming trapped people as much as it fed them. Agriculture spread because it outcompeted neighbors, not because it improved human life. Part 2. Hybrid pathways. Semi-sedentary hunter-gatherer civilizations. These are not hypothetical. They existed. 1. Real historical examples. Natufians, Levant, 12,500 to 9,500 BC. Semi-sedentary villages, heavy reliance on wild grains, large cemeteries, monumental ritual sites, pre-agriculture complexity. Jomon, Japan, 14,000 to 300 BC. Long-term settlements, rich marine diet, pottery before farming, complex ritual life, minimal agriculture for millennia. Pacific Northwest cultures, dense populations without farming, salmon storage economies, hierarchical societies, exceptional case, slavery without agriculture. Number 2. Characteristics of hybrid systems. Seasonal mobility plus permanent hubs, food storage without monocropping, landscape engineering, fire pruning, high population density, sophisticated art and ritual, stable knowledge transmission. These societies show that agriculture was not required for complexity, only for expansionist states. Number 3. Why hybrid models were rare. Hybrid HG civilizations are ecologically fragile, region-specific, vulnerable to agricultural neighbors, dependent on rich ecosystems. They work best where nature already produces abundance. Part 3. Comparison to modern technological futures. Here's where things get uncanny. 1. Structural parallels, hunter-gatherer civilization, technological future. Low work hours, automation, knowledge-based status, knowledge economy, gift economies, open source models, mobility, remote work, ecological integration, sustainability tech. Oral tradition, post-text AI mediation. Modern tech is recreating HG advantages artificially. Number 2. Differences, critical. HG civilization, embedded in ecology, low energy throughput, high resilience, hard limits. Tech civilization, abstracted from ecology, high energy throughput, fragile systems, soft limits until collapse. Technology simulates freedom, HG life embodies it. 3. Could tech replace agriculture? In theory, vertical farming, synthetic food, AI coordination, localized production. In practice, centralization increases, energy demand skyrockets, failure modes become catastrophic. Tech futures are agricultural logic taken to extremes. Part 4. The uncomfortable question. Was farming a mistake or a necessary one? The honest answer. Farming was both a mistake and a necessary transition, but not in the way it's usually framed. Why it was a mistake: reduced health and happiness, created hierarchy, war, slavery. Severed ecological intimacy, locked humanity into growth addiction, made collapse systemic instead of local. From a human well-being perspective, yes, farming was a mistake. Why it may have been necessary: enabled large-scale coordination, allowed technological accumulation, created surplus knowledge storage, made global civilization possible, eventually enabled scientific self-reflection. From a species trajectory perspective, it may have been unavoidable once certain thresholds were crossed. The deeper truth: agriculture is not a destination. It is a bridge technology. Humanity has been stuck on the bridge for 10,000 years. The future question is not, open quote, should we return to hunter-gathering? Close quote. But open quote, can we reclaim hunter-gatherer values after agriculture? Close quote. Final synthesis. Hunter-gatherers mastered, living well within limits. Agricultural societies mastered, scaling power. Technological societies must master, choosing restraint. If we fail, we collapse. If we succeed, we may finally transcend agriculture's logic, not by going backward, but by remembering what we were optimized to be. If you want, next we can model a post-agricultural civilization explicitly, analyze collapse cycles through this lens, explore how modern humans psychologically differ from HG humans, or map how close we are right now to leaving the agricultural paradigm.